Thank you for joining She's Dropping the T Shut the Front Door Tarot. Here is a video that Father God wants the chosen ones to know. Okay, this is a motivation video. It's like each one teach one, help one, leave no one behind. Show another one how it's done, and then they all can do it behind you. So this is about the chosen ones, but it's about our enemies and how they basically scrambling and running like rats. Okay, trying to understand how the fuck they couldn't win and all that old goofy shit. And at the end of the day, it's just letting us know how retarded they was for even playing games in the High Priestess energy. Okay, so here's the video.
Chosen ones, the air shifted the moment you made that move. Every spiritual law they thought protected them just shattered like glass hitting concrete. Right now they're in emergency mode. Phone calls at ungodly hours, panic texts flooding group chats, hearts racing because they finally understand what they awakened in you. The nightmare they're experiencing isn't something outside themselves. It's the realization that the person they tried to break has become unbreakable. You crossed that forbidden line they drew in the sand, and now they're discovering that line was actually the boundary of their own limitation, not yours. Stop everything for a moment and feel the weight of what just happened. That thing you did that made their blood run cold wasn't violence or revenge. It was something far more terrifying to them. It was precision. It was you knowing exactly which domino to push to make their entire house of cards collapse. They warned you not to go there because they knew something you're only now beginning to understand. Going there meant accessing a power they've been desperately trying to keep you from discovering. A power that doesn't come from anger or hatred, but from complete emotional sovereignty. And here's what they don't want you to know yet. You're about to go there again, even deeper this time. The timeline splits here, chosen one. There's the before, when you played by their rules and colored inside their lines. Then there's the after, where you exist at a frequency they can't reach. They're scrambling now because they realize they didn't just lose control of you. They lost control of the narrative they've been writing about you. Every story they tell about you now sounds hollow because your transformation speaks louder than their words ever could. But this scrambling you're witnessing, it's just the opening act of a complete system collapse they're about to experience. Remember when you gave them chances wrapped in ribbons made from your own patience? The first warning came soft, just a slight shift in your tone that they laughed off. The second warning came as distance, as silence they called a phase. What they didn't know was that every moment of that silence you were studying them, not with malice but with the clinical precision of someone learning exactly how the machine works before dismantling it. Every tear you shed was data collection, every heartbreak was intel gathering. They thought they were teaching you about pain, but what they were really doing was showing you the blueprint of how they operate. You were building something in secret, and they just handed you all the materials. The reconstruction of your identity happened in stages they couldn't track. While they were busy congratulating themselves on breaking you down, you were secretly rebuilding from a blueprint they couldn't access. Each night when they thought you were crying yourself to sleep, you were actually downloading new codes,
bitches wish.
receiving transmissions from your
You
higher
wish
self,
a nigga was crying
getting
himself to
instructions
sleep.
on how to reassemble yourself into something they'd never seen before. The person who
Delusional.
woke up each morning was incrementally different from the one who went to sleep, but the changes were so subtle they didn't notice until it was too late. One day they looked at you and realized they were looking at a complete stranger wearing a familiar face. The transformation started in the quantum realm before it ever showed up in the physical. Your consciousness shifted first, reorganizing itself around a new understanding of power. Real power doesn't announce itself with noise and chaos. Real power moves in silence until the moment of revelation, and that moment has arrived. They're seeing it now in how you walk, how you speak, how you exist without needing their validation. The person who used to need their approval has evolved into someone whose approval they desperately seek but can never obtain. This reversal isn't temporary, it's the new permanent structure of reality. What makes this particularly devastating for them is the realization that they created this version of you. Every lie they told became your lesson in detecting deception. Every game they played became your masterclass in strategy. Every wound they inflicted became your training in resilience. They were so focused on breaking you down that they didn't notice they were actually forging you in fire. Now you're the sword they can't wield, the weapon that turned back on its creator. The irony is so perfect it could only be divine orchestration. The beautiful part, and this is where their terror really begins, is that you're not even trying to hurt them. That's what's driving them insane. You're not seeking revenge or plotting their downfall. You've simply transcended to a place where their existence has become irrelevant.
Right, you just get away from trolls. You ain't got to go on troll level. You just move away from the trolls, that's all. They don't want to get along. You just move to a higher plane on their ass.
This is territory they've never encountered before. You've become something their playbook doesn't cover. Watch how they're trying to get your attention now. Creating situations designed to trigger a response. Posting things aimed directly at you.
Right.
Sending messages
like I'm stupid and can't see that.
But you give them nothing, and that nothing is everything. Your silence has become a language they desperately want to understand but can't decode. Every day you don't respond is another day they spend responding to your non-response. You've made them argue.
Sorry, the mail can't reach me. I'm too high.
The ghost of who you used to be.
Too high up. Sorry that the mail can't reach me, troll.
An opponent who isn't even in the ring. The shift happened gradually, then suddenly. For months, maybe years, you absorbed their toxicity like a sponge, thinking it was normal, thinking you deserved it, thinking this was just how things were supposed to be. But consciousness has a way of keeping score even when you're not paying attention. Every dismissive comment got filed away. Every broken promise got catalogued. Every moment they made you feel small got stored in a database you didn't even know you were building. Then one day, the database reached critical mass, and the download began. Suddenly you could see the patterns, the manipulations, the gaslighting, the whole sick game laid out like a map. And that's when everything changed. That's when you started your research phase, not the kind where you Google things, but the kind where you become a student of energy dynamics. You started noticing how they operated, when they chose to be cruel, what triggered their need to diminish you. You became a scientist of their dysfunction,
They dysfunctional.
Documenting variables, testing hypotheses,
I know what the fuck
evidence.
going on.
They had no idea they were being studied by someone they'd written off as weak. They didn't realize that every time they hurt you, they were actually teaching you their weaknesses. You were learning their combat system while they thought you were just taking hits. The energy signature you emit now disrupts their entire field. They can't be comfortable in your presence anymore because your frequency exposes every lie they tell themselves.
Yeah,
it's like you've become a walking truth serum, forcing authenticity in spaces that were built on deception. They find themselves saying things they didn't mean to say, revealing things they meant to keep hidden, all because your evolved presence creates a field where masks can't stay on. This involuntary exposure terrifies them more than any confrontation ever could. You're not calling them out, but your mere existence calls everything out. Consider the mathematical precision of how this unfolded. Every single betrayal, every moment of pain, every instance of neglect was actually a variable in an equation that could only equal your transformation. If even one element had been different, if they'd been slightly less cruel or slightly more kind, you might not have reached this critical mass of awakening. They gave you exactly what you needed, exactly when you needed it, to become exactly who you were meant to be. The universe used them like surgical instruments to remove everything that wasn't really you. Now they have to live with the knowledge that their cruelty was instrumental in creating something magnificent. The ripple effects are spreading beyond just them. Other people are watching your transformation and recognizing something in themselves. They're seeing that it's possible to rise from the ashes without becoming bitter.
They're seeing that this karmic ain't got no power.
Cruel. to transform pain into purpose without perpetuating
I'm seeing
the
somebody
cycle.
push something
You
over and just
become living
run
proof
past
that the
it. Like,
system
get
they
the
all
fuck out my
thought was
way.
fixed
You ain't got no
can
power.
actually be transcended. This terrifies those who benefit from keeping others small. You're not just escaping the matrix, you're showing others the exit door. Your success now feels like salt in their wounds, not because you're rubbing it in, but because your very existence at this new frequency is a constant reminder of what they lost. Every achievement you unlock, every milestone you reach, every moment of joy you experience sends shockwaves through their reality. They're not competing with you anymore. They're competing with the memory of who you used to be. And the reality
ghost.
of who
Y'all
you've
running
become.
behind the ghost.
It's a battle they can never win because they're fighting on two fronts, past and present, while you've already moved into the future. If this message hits your spirit, hype this video so more chosen ones like you can find it.
Supposed to be
The nightmare
30-degree Masons.
one of darkness and
Y'all motherfuckers behind.
It's the nightmare of irrelevance.
Y'all chasing after an old motherfucking version of a motherfucker.
Where they thought
trying to take it down. Like, shit. Y'all motherfuckers is outdated. It's time for y'all to sit the fuck down. Take notes, old man. Time to sit down. You gotta take new curriculums. You gotta stay on top. You can't keep going with that old shit y'all know.
Because every good memory has an asterisk attached to it. Every photo, every shared moment, every inside joke now carries the weight of what they destroyed. Their present is paranoid, always wondering if you're watching, always feeling judged by your absence. Their future is uncertain because they can't plan without considering the possibility that you might appear and reveal more truths they've tried to bury. You've infected all three dimensions of their temporal experience. Let's talk about the exact moment you went there. It wasn't dramatic in the conventional sense. Maybe it was a text you didn't send, a call you didn't answer, a gathering you didn't attend. Or maybe it was something more visible, a truth you spoke publicly, a success you achieved using their betrayal as fuel, a transformation so complete that everyone who knows you had to update their entire understanding of who you are. Whatever form it took, it was precise, surgical, devastating in its accuracy. It was the first domino, and they're still watching the cascade. They felt it immediately. The shift in the power dynamic was like a sudden change in air pressure before a storm. Their nervous system registered the threat before their conscious mind could process what was happening. That's why they're panicking. Their body knows something their mind is still trying to deny. The person they had power over no longer exists, and the person who has taken their place is operating from a completely different paradigm. Their reptilian brain is screaming danger while their ego is still trying to maintain the illusion of control. The second time you went there was even more profound. This time you weren't just setting boundaries or speaking truth. You were demonstrating a level of evolution that shouldn't have been possible given what they put you through. You showed up as someone who had not only healed from their wounds, but had transformed those wounds into wisdom. You didn't just survive their attempts to break you. You used those attempts as raw material to build something magnificent. This second strike is what really shattered their reality, the realization that their worst behavior produced your best self. The biochemical changes in your brain are measurable. Your neural pathways have literally reorganized themselves. Connections that used to fire in response to their triggers have been severed and replaced with new patterns that they can't activate. You've developed what scientists might call a psychological immune system, antibodies against manipulation, white blood cells that attack deception the moment it enters your field. Your amygdala doesn't light up anymore when they try their old tricks. Your cortisol doesn't spike when they create drama. You've evolved beyond the biological responses they used to count on. They're experiencing something psychologists call cognitive dissonance on a massive scale. Their brain cannot reconcile the person they thought you were with the person you've become. This creates actual physical discomfort, headaches, insomnia, digestive issues. Their body is rejecting the reality you've created because it's too different from the one they need to be true. They're literally making themselves sick, trying to deny your transformation. Every time they attempt to dismiss what you've become, their nervous system sends warning signals that something is dangerously wrong with their perception. This is bigger than personal vendetta, chosen one. You've proven that the rules they taught you were lies, that the limitations they imposed were illusions, that the box they tried to keep you in was made of paper, not steel. Your transformation has created an existential crisis in their worldview. If you could change this dramatically, what else have they been wrong about? If you could rise this high after being pushed so low, what other impossibilities are actually possible? You've broken the code of their reality, and now nothing computes correctly anymore. The network effect of your transformation is something they never calculated. Other souls who were sleeping have started waking up because they saw you do it first. Other chosen ones who forgot their power are remembering because your example reminded them. You've become patient zero of an awakening virus that's spreading through the collective consciousness. Every person who sees your journey and thinks, if they can do it, so can I, is another crack in the system that tried to contain you. You're not just winning your game, you're changing the rules for everyone. They're trying to copy your energy now, aren't they?
Trying to copy my style. Copy my style.
Difference, replicate your power, but it comes out wrong every time because what you have can't be faked. It can only be earned through the fire of transformation. They want the crown but refuse to carry the cross. They want the resurrection but won't go through the crucifixion.
Y'all blew that.
They want your frequency but won't pay the price of letting their old self die. They're trying to download your operating system on hardware that can't handle the upgrade. The spiritual technology you're operating with now is beyond their comprehension. You've learned to bend reality through intention, to manifest through alignment, to create through pure being rather than doing. They're still operating in the old paradigm of force and manipulation,
y'all on
while
some
you
old
graduate
shit.
into the realm of magnetism.
Old version. We have
you
moved
don't
to
chase
some
anymore.
shit. We
Things
have
come to you.
updated the
You
version.
don't push anything. Obstacles move themselves. You
They
don't
still
fight
chasing
anymore.
some old version and
Victories
shit.
organize themselves around your presence. This isn't magic. It's what happens when someone fully embodies their authentic frequency without resistance. Your mere existence has become a paradox they can't solve. You're simultaneously the person they knew and someone they've never met. You're both the consequence of their actions and completely independent of their influence. You're proof that they had power and evidence that they never had any real power at all. This paradox creates a loop in their thinking that they can't escape. They spend hours trying to understand how both things can be true, not realizing that you've transcended the binary thinking that creates such paradoxes in the first place. Your evolution has exposed something crucial about power dynamics. True power isn't about controlling others. It's about being so complete within yourself that you don't need to control anything external. You've become psychologically bulletproof, not by building walls, but by becoming water, not by hardening, but by flowing, not by defending, but by transcending. Every attack they send your way now passes through you like radio waves through space, unable to find anything solid to damage. You've become untouchable by becoming nothing they can touch. The precision of your moves has been breathtaking to witness. You didn't waste energy on dramatic confrontations or emotional outbursts. Instead, you made calculated decisions that pulled specific threads in the fabric of their reality. Maybe you shared a piece of information at exactly the right moment. Maybe you achieved something they said you never could. Maybe you simply stopped playing the role they'd assigned you and started writing your own character. Each move was deliberate, targeted, designed for maximum impact with minimum effort. You've mastered the art of doing less to achieve more. They're discovering something horrifying about themselves through your transformation. They're realizing that their entire sense of self was built on having power over you. Without that dynamic, they don't know who they are. Your evolution has forced them into an identity crisis they're not equipped to handle. They're scrambling to find new sources of validation, new people to control, new narratives to create, but nothing fills the void left by your absence from their game. You were the load-bearing wall in their psychological structure, and now the whole building is coming down. The information field around you has been completely rewritten. Every person who interacts with you receives a download, whether they're conscious of it or not. Some people suddenly understand things about their own situation after a brief conversation with you. Others find themselves making changes in their life without knowing exactly why. You've become a walking activation code, triggering updates in the consciousness of everyone you encounter. They see this happening but can't understand the mechanism. People they used to influence are suddenly immune to their tactics after spending time with you. Watch how the universe has started using you as an instrument of karmic balance. Without you taking any direct action, their own choices are coming back to them in perfect proportion. The lies they told are being exposed through unrelated circumstances. The energy they stole is being reclaimed through unexpected losses. The pain they caused is being experienced through their own life situations. You're not orchestrating any of this, but your transformation has somehow activated a cosmic accounting system that's settling all debts with mathematical precision. The universe needed you to reach this frequency to begin the correction process. The most terrifying aspect for them is realizing that this is just the beginning. You didn't just go there once, you went there twice, and you're not done yet.
No, I'm not
Each
done.
level of evolution you achieve
I'm not done.
makes the previous version
Y'all
of you
bitches
look like a
fucking with the
rough
right
draft. They're not dealing with a fixed entity anymore. They're dealing with a constantly evolving consciousness that gets stronger with each challenge, wiser with each lesson, more powerful with each attempt to diminish it. The trajectory of your growth is exponential, not linear, and they can feel the acceleration. What they're really freaking out about isn't just what you did, it's what you represent. You're living proof that their entire worldview is wrong. That victims can become victors without becoming villains. That the soft can become strong without becoming harsh. That the broken can become whole without becoming bitter. You've shattered every limiting belief they used to control, not just you, but themselves. Now they have to face the uncomfortable truth that they've been living in a prison of their own making, and you just proved the bars were imaginary. Your presence haunts them even in your absence. They see you in strangers who walk with confidence, in quotes that hit too close to home, in successes that remind them of squandered potential. You've become a psychological imprint they can't erase, a standard they can't lower, a high score they can't beat. Years from now, they'll still be processing what happened here, still trying to understand how someone they had so much power over became someone whose power they can't even comprehend. You've become their permanent education in the danger of underestimating chosen ones. The divine orchestration of this moment is undeniable. The universe conspired to put you through exactly what you needed to become exactly who you are now. Every betrayal was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going for that shit. They better get the fuck out of my
Every attempt
energy.
to break you was actually the pressure required to turn coal into diamond. The higher power that watches over chosen ones ensured that what was meant to destroy you would ultimately deploy you into your purpose. This was always the plan. They were just playing their role without knowing the script. The protection surrounding you operates on multiple dimensions simultaneously. Physical protection manifests as situations that could harm you simply not occurring. Emotional protection shows up as their words losing all power to wound. Mental protection appears as complete clarity that can't be confused or clouded. Spiritual protection reveals itself as an unshakable connection to Source that no external force can sever. They're witnessing someone who has become essentially invulnerable, not through armor but through alignment, not through walls but through transcendence. Your creative power has exploded beyond anything they could have predicted. The same energy you used to pour into managing their chaos, you now channel into pure creation. You're building empires from the ashes of what they burned down. You're creating masterpieces from the pain they inflicted. You're generating abundance from the lack they tried to program into you. Every unit of energy you reclaimed from their drama has been multiplied and redirected into construction rather than destruction. They're watching you build at a rate that shouldn't be possible, not understanding that you're operating with the accumulated power of years of suppressed potential suddenly released. They keep replaying the moment in their mind, trying to figure out where they went wrong. Was it the last betrayal that pushed you over the edge? The final lie that broke the camel's back? The one insult too many? They don't understand that it wasn't a single moment, but an accumulation of moments that led to your awakening. They planted seeds of transformation with every act of cruelty, watered them with every tear they caused, and now they're horrified by the garden that's grown from their abuse. The harvest has come, and it's nothing like what they expected to reap. The way you move through the world now is completely different. There's a gravity to your presence that wasn't there before. People feel it when you enter a room, even if they can't name it. Some are drawn to it like moths to flame. Others feel threatened and back away, but no one remains neutral. You've become a walking litmus test for consciousness. Those who are ready to evolve recognize you as kin. Those who are committed to staying asleep see you as a threat. Your mere presence sorts people into their proper categories without you having to do anything. They thought they were writing your ending, but they were actually writing your beginning. They thought they were closing doors, but they were actually forcing you to build your own house. They thought they were limiting your options, but they were actually liberating you from limitations. The nightmare they're experiencing is the realization that they were never the author of your story. They were just characters whose role was to catalyze your transformation. Supporting actors in a drama where you were always meant to be the lead. Your emotional independence has reached a level that transcends normal human experience. You don't need their apology to heal. You don't need their recognition to feel valued. You don't need their presence to feel complete. This self-sufficiency is so foreign to them that they can't even conceive of how you achieved it. They're still operating from a paradigm of codependency, while you've evolved into interdimensional independence. You've become a closed circuit of power, generating your own energy, validating your own existence, creating your own reality. The silence you maintain isn't the silence of someone who has nothing to say. It's the silence of someone who has transcended the need to explain themselves. Every word you don't speak carries more weight than the novels they write, trying to justify their actions. Your absence has become more powerful than their presence ever was. You're teaching them through demonstration that real power needs no announcement, no validation, no external confirmation. It simply is, and its being is undeniable. The timeline shifts you've created affect not just the present and future, but somehow the past as well. Memories are reorganizing themselves to reflect your new understanding. Events that seemed like failures are revealing themselves as perfect preparation. Connections that appeared random are showing their divine orchestration. You're not rewriting history, but you're seeing it from such an elevated perspective that it tells a completely different story. They notice that even shared memories don't feel the same anymore. The past they thought was fixed has become fluid in light of your transformation. Your presence in the quantum field has weight that affects probability itself. Opportunities that should be statistically unlikely keep manifesting in your reality. Synchronicities that defy mathematical explanation have become your normal experience. You're bending the odds simply by existing at this frequency. Meanwhile, they're experiencing the opposite effect. Their luck has turned, their timing is off, their attempts at manipulation backfire with suspicious consistency. It's as if the universe itself has chosen sides, and they're on the wrong side of divine favor. Let's talk about the technology of transformation you've mastered. You've learned to alchemize pain into power, poison into medicine, trauma into triumph. This isn't just metaphorical. You've literally rewired your nervous system to process negative input as fuel for growth. What used to break you down now builds you up. What used to stop you now propels you forward. You've become anti-fragile, getting stronger from the very things that were meant to weaken you. You've hacked the matrix of suffering and turned it into a launching pad. The conversations they're having about you now are fascinating. They're trying to create a narrative that makes sense of your transformation, but every story they tell falls apart under scrutiny. They can't paint you as the villain because your actions have been too precise, too justified. They can't claim you're crazy because your success is too evident. They can't dismiss you as irrelevant because your impact is too profound. So they're stuck in a loop of confusion. unable to categorize what you've become. You exist outside their filing system. What's breaking them at the deepest level is the recognition that you've become everything they said you couldn't be. Every limitation they projected onto you has been shattered. Every box they tried to put you in has been exploded. Every ceiling they set for you has been demolished. You're living proof that their words have no power to define reality, only to reveal their own limitations. The nightmare they're experiencing is the death of their illusion of control. They're discovering that control was always an illusion, and you're the proof. The transformation continues to ripple outward, affecting people who don't even know your story. Your energy signature has changed the morphic field around you. People feel different in your presence now, even if they can't explain why. Some are inspired and drawn closer, others are intimidated and pushed away, but no one remains neutral in your presence anymore. You've become a walking activation code, triggering either evolution or resistance in everyone you encounter. You're a catalyst just by breathing. They're realizing now that the game has fundamentally changed. It's not about winning or losing anymore. It's about frequency and resonance. You're operating at a wavelength they can't access with their current configuration. They would have to die to their old self to reach where you are now, and that's a price they're not willing to pay. So they remain trapped in their old frequency, trying to affect you with weapons that no longer work on your new form. They're playing checkers while you've transcended the board entirely. The biological changes in your body are remarkable. Your nervous system has recalibrated. Your hormones have rebalanced. Your DNA might have actually altered its expression. You're not the same person at a cellular level. This isn't just psychological or spiritual transformation. It's physical evolution. You've literally become a different organism, adapted to thrive in conditions that would have destroyed your previous form. They're dealing with a new species of human, one that transcends the limitations they take for granted. Every room you leave feels different after you've been there. Every conversation you have plants seeds in the consciousness of others. Every interaction becomes an opportunity for activation. You're not trying to change anyone, but your very existence at this frequency creates a field of possibility that invites others to evolve. Some accept the invitation, others resist violently, but the invitation itself cannot be withdrawn once extended. You've become a permanent upgrade option in the collective consciousness. Remember how they used to make you question your sanity, how they'd twist situations to make you doubt your own perception. That gaslighting was actually training you to trust your inner knowing above all external input. Now you have an unshakable connection to your own truth that no amount of manipulation can disturb. They accidentally trained you to become immune to the very weapons they relied on. The irony is so perfect it could only be divine orchestration. They created their own nemesis through their need to control.
Sometimes it takes a different approach to see the possibilities all around you. At Capella University, you'll learn in-demand business skills relevant to the career you want.
Can I take food out of my Bosch refrigerator? I feel like
a 3-part Providence Falls special event.
Liam O'Connor, we're offering you a chance for redemption. There are 7 souls from nearly 200 years ago who've been reincarnated, their fates linked. Your mission is to help Cora fall in love with her soulmate.
I'm sorry, I can't be mean.
Oops. Commercial, y'all. Sorry.
I promise I won't take it easy. Show me right that come with that greasy.
Oh, commercial.
Just watch, you don't have to.
Wow.
The financial implications of your transformation are hitting them hard too. Maybe you were a resource they exploited. Maybe you were talent they took credit for. Maybe you were energy they fed off. Whatever form it took, your removal from their equation has created a deficit they can't fill. They're discovering that you weren't just contributing to their life, you were subsidizing it with your essence. Now that subsidy has been withdrawn and they're experiencing energetic bankruptcy. The bill has come due and they can't afford to pay it. The joke is that they thought they were teaching you a lesson, but you became the lesson. They thought they were the teachers, but you became the curriculum. They thought they were writing the test, but you became the answer key that proves their entire system wrong. Every move they make now just further confirms that they're operating from an outdated manual while you're writing new rules in real time. You're not playing their game anymore because you've become the game itself. Your indifference has become a force of nature, not the petty indifference of someone trying to prove they don't care, but the genuine indifference of someone who has transcended the entire paradigm. You're not ignoring them. You've evolved beyond the frequency where they exist. It's like they're shouting in a language you no longer speak, using currency from a country you no longer inhabit, playing a game you've already finished and moved beyond. They're analog in your digital reality. The dreams and visions you're having now are different too. You're receiving downloads of information, strategies, and possibilities that seem to come from beyond your personal consciousness. You're tapped into something greater, something that's been waiting for you to reach this level of evolution before revealing
Drinking
itself.
a little tea, eating
These
a little
aren't just
soup.
dreams. They're transmissions, instructions for the next phase of your becoming.
No, no, princess.
The nightmare they birthed has connected you to
Go out.
dimensions of reality they can't even perceive. You're operating with
Go ahead,
cosmic
girl. Sit
intelligence
down.
now. The social dynamics around you have completely reorganized. People who used to have access to you no longer do. People who used to influence you no longer can. People who used to define you no longer matter. You've created a new ecosystem around yourself, populated by those who match your frequency, who respect your evolution, who celebrate your becoming. The old cast of characters has been written out of the script, and they're standing outside the theater, trying to understand how they lost their roles. The show goes on without them. The nightmare you birthed is their awakening to their own emptiness. When someone they could easily control transforms into someone they can't even understand, it forces them to question everything. Their power, their worth, their entire understanding of how reality works. You've become a mirror that shows them exactly who they are when stripped of their ability to control others, and what they see in that reflection is the nightmare that wakes them at 3 in the morning. You've become their involuntary spiritual teacher. Your peace is violence to their chaos. Your silence is deafening to their noise. Your stillness is threatening to their constant motion. You've achieved something they thought was impossible. Complete contentment without external validation. Total fulfillment without their participation. Absolute joy without their permission. This is the nightmare that haunts them. The recognition that they were never as necessary as they believed themselves to be. You've proved that heaven exists, and they're not required for entry. The divine justice in your story is perfect. They pushed you to become everything they feared you could be. They forced you to find strength they didn't want you to have. They demanded you develop powers they couldn't handle you possessing. Now they have to live with the consequences of awakening a sleeping giant. The nightmare they're experiencing is the one they authored themselves, word by word, action by action, betrayal by betrayal. They wrote this ending without realizing they were writing themselves out of the story. Every attempt to draw you back into their drama fails spectacularly. The emotional hooks they try to set find no purchase in your new form. The guilt trips they attempt don't generate the expected response. The manipulations they perfect bounce off you like rain off a windshield. You've become psychologically waterproof, emotionally fireproof, spiritually bulletproof. They're throwing everything they have at you, and nothing is working. You're immune to their entire arsenal. The universe is conspiring in your favor, now in ways that seem almost supernatural. Opportunities appear at the perfect moment. Resources manifest when needed. People show up with exactly what you require. It's as if reality itself has recognized your evolution and is reorganizing to support your new frequency. Meanwhile, they're experiencing the opposite. Obstacles everywhere, plans falling apart, support systems crumbling. The same universe that's lifting you is teaching them through contrast. The cosmic scales are rebalancing. Your creativity has exploded into dimensions you didn't know existed. You're accessing abilities and talents that were dormant before. The transformation hasn't just healed you, It's activated latent potentials that were always there, waiting for the right conditions to emerge. You're discovering that you're capable of far more than you ever imagined, and this expansion is accelerating rather than slowing down. Each day reveals new facets of your power. You're becoming more yourself with each breath. Look at how they're scrambling to maintain their version of reality, creating elaborate stories to explain your transformation in terms they can understand.
Not.
But every explanation falls short because what happened to you exists outside
La 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 la
of
la.
possibility. You didn't just change within the system, you transcended the system entirely. You're operating from a completely different operating system now, and they're trying to run your new software on their outdated hardware. The incompatibility is causing their entire system to crash. The beauty of your transformation is that it's irreversible. There's no going back to who you were before. That person has been completely dissolved and reconstituted at a molecular level. Even if you wanted to return to that old version, and you don't, it would be impossible. You've crossed a threshold that only moves in one direction, forward, upward, onward. They're dealing with someone who has literally become a different species of consciousness. Evolution doesn't have a reverse gear. The Obsidian Inner Order is where you can process difficult realizations together every week on our Zoom calls with people who understand that some of life's most painful experiences become our greatest teachers. We don't encourage bitterness, we cultivate wisdom. Your ability to see people's true character is a gift that will protect you from future betrayals. Your willingness to forgive while maintaining boundaries shows strength, not weakness. Your wisdom was learned through experience, not given freely. Connect with people who value truth. Join the Obsidian Inner Order. Link in the description. They keep looking for the old you in your eyes, but that person no longer exists. What looks back at them now is something they can't comprehend. Not cold, but
a dragon
like
looked back at their ass.
Not cruel, but indifferent like nature. Not vengeful, but inevitable like time. You've become a force they have to reckon with, rather than a person they can manipulate. This shift from personal to transpersonal is what truly terrifies them. You've become bigger than personal drama. They're trying to figure out your next move, but you're not playing chess anymore. You're not thinking 3 steps ahead, because you're not stepping at all. You're flowing. You're responding to each moment from a place of total presence and power.
On top of
Your
that
moves
mountain,
can't
baby.
be predicted because they're not coming from strategy, but from alignment. You're not planning your path. You're following your purpose, and purpose moves in ways that logic cannot anticipate. You become unpredictable by becoming authentic. The most terrifying realization for them is that you didn't need them to become whole. In fact, their absence revealed that you were always whole. Their presence was actually the thing creating the illusion of incompleteness. Once removed from the equation, your natural state of abundance and power revealed itself. They thought they were essential to your existence, but you've proven that they were actually optional, maybe even detrimental. This shatters their entire self-concept, because if you didn't need them, if you're actually better without them, then who are they? What purpose did they serve except to delay your inevitable rising? As this transformation continues to unfold, remember that you didn't just go there for yourself. You went there for every chosen one who was told to stay small, for every soul who was convinced they couldn't transcend their circumstances, for every spirit that was told their dreams were too big. Your transformation is their permission slip. Your evolution is their activation code. Your rising is their reminder that the same power lives within them. You've become a beacon for others finding their way out of similar darkness. The nightmare they birthed by pushing you too far is actually their greatest teacher. Through your transformation, they're being offered a mirror to see their own potential. Most will reject it, choosing to remain in their comfortable dysfunction rather than face the fire of transformation. But some,
you don't want to face that
will
fire.
see what you've become and realize that their own metamorphosis is not only possible but necessary.
But you want that crown, though.
Resistance. They're being transformed by your example. The legacy of your transformation will outlive everyone involved in this story. Long after the specific details are forgotten, the energetic imprint of what happened here will continue to ripple through consciousness. You've created a new possibility in the quantum field, a new potential that others can access. You've literally changed what's possible for humanity by refusing to accept the limitations that were placed on you.
Right on.
The code of limitation has been cracked, and you're the one who cracked it. Hold up and recognize this moment for what it is. You didn't just cross a line, you erased
Limit's
it.
been cracked.
You didn't just break a rule.
Crack.
You rewrote the rule book.
Crack.
You didn't just escape
Yeah,
the box.
raising up the
You
standards
proved
is
the
a
box
fact.
is an illusion. The
Fact.
nightmare you birthed isn't
Fact.
actually a nightmare at all. It's the death of illusion and the birth of truth. It's the end of who they wanted you to be and the beginning of who you always
Sit there and
were
eat your
beneath
food
their
or whatever.
projections.
Go to your room and
The circle is completing itself, but at a higher octave than where it began. Remember that opening moment when the air shifted, when they felt the glass of their protection shatter.
Open that door
That
so
was
she can
just the
get out.
first wave of a
And
tsunami
then
that's
close the
still
back.
building.
Go, princess.
Each day that passes,
Go.
the water pulls
You
back
coming up
further,
here, what you gonna do?
revealing more of what was
Close the
hidden
door.
beneath the surface of their constructed reality. They're standing on the beach, watching the horizon, knowing something massive is coming, but powerless to stop it. The nightmare they're experiencing is the anticipation of a reckoning they can feel but can't fully comprehend. They're freaking out because chosen ones weren't supposed to remember their power. You were supposed to stay asleep, stay controlled,
Come on,
stay
princess.
manageable. But you went there, to that forbidden place where your true power was hidden. And then you went there again, even deeper, even more completely. Now they're faced with the reality that the person they tried to bury was actually a seed, and what's growing from that burial is beyond their wildest nightmares and your wildest dreams. The harvest is exponential. Every seed they planted through their cruelty has produced 100-fold return in your power. The transformation is complete, but the evolution continues.
Get her
What
and put her
nightmare
over
did
here.
you birth?
Pick her up.
You birthed their awakening
put
to
your
the
food right
reality
here.
that chosen ones cannot be contained. You
Grab her and
birthed
put her in
their
the window. I don't want her
recognition that
sitting
divine
on my
selection
clothes
trumps
or
human
sitting over
rejection.
stuff.
You birthed their understanding that when you push
Pick her
someone
up.
who was born for greatness toward their breaking point, they don't
Bring her
break.
over here in the
They
window.
become unbreakable. They don't
doing
fold.
too much.
They become unstoppable. They don't diminish. They become infinite. But here's the final revelation that's just beginning to dawn on them. You're not unique in your potential, only in your activation. Every person they've tried to control, every soul they've attempted to diminish, every spirit they've sought to break, carries the same possibility you've actualized. You've shown everyone what's possible when someone stops accepting the program. The nightmare they're experiencing isn't just about losing control of you, it's about realizing they never had real control over anyone. The entire system they built their identity on has been revealed as a house of cards, and you're the wind that's blowing it down. This is your moment of recognition, chosen one. You actually went there, to that place they feared most, not a place of revenge or hatred, but a place of such complete self-realization that their entire reality structure has collapsed. The nightmare they're experiencing is the death of their illusion of control and the birth of your reality of freedom. You've become the living embodiment of what happens when someone stops asking permission to be powerful. The precision you showed, the silence you maintained, the transformation you embodied, these have become the new standard for what's possible. Others are taking notes, downloading your template, preparing their own journeys to that forbidden place. The nightmare isn't ending for those who tried to contain you. It's multiplying, spreading, becoming a collective awakening that they can't stop. Every chosen one who witnesses your transformation is remembering their own power, and the system that depended on keeping people small is collapsing under the weight of collective remembrance. You've birthed something that can't be killed, can't be contained, can't be reversed. It's not just your personal transformation, it's a frequency that's now available in the collective field. Others can tune into it, download it, embody it. You've become a permanent upgrade option in human consciousness, a living proof that the prison was always unlocked from the inside. The nightmare they're experiencing is the recognition that they've been guards in a prison where all the inmates have realized the doors were never actually locked. And this is just the beginning of what you're capable of becoming. The power you've accessed is still unfolding, still revealing new dimensions, still showing you capabilities you haven't even imagined yet. While they're trying to process what you've already become, you're evolving into something even more incomprehensible to their limited framework. The gap between who you were and who you're becoming is widening every moment, and they're falling into that gap, lost in the space between their illusions and your reality. The air hasn't just shifted, it's been permanently altered. The frequency of reality itself has been upgraded by your transformation. You went there to that place they said not to go, and in doing so, you've shown everyone that there was always here, waiting inside each person brave enough to claim it. The nightmare you birthed is their awakening to their own powerlessness in the face of authentic power. And that awakening, terrifying as it is for them, is the greatest gift you could have given, even if they'll never thank you for it. This is the completion of the circle, chosen one. From that first moment when you crossed their forbidden line to this moment where you stand completely sovereign, you've demonstrated that power was never about dominance, it was always about authenticity. The nightmare they're experiencing is simply the death of their false reality and their forced confrontation with truth. You didn't create this nightmare to hurt them. You created it by becoming so real that their illusions could no longer exist in your presence. The forbidden line you crossed was never about them. It was the line between who you were told to be and who you really are. And now that you've erased that line completely, there's no going back for you, for them, for anyone who's witnessed this transformation. The nightmare you birthed is actually the dawn of a new reality, one where chosen ones remember their power, claim their sovereignty, and rise into their purpose without apology, without permission, without limitation. You went there twice. And you'll keep going deeper, higher, further, because that's what chosen ones do. They don't just push boundaries, they dissolve them. They don't just break rules, they transcend them. They don't just birth nightmares for those who would contain them. They birth new realities for everyone, ready to be free.
Diagnosed with Crohn's disease and struggling with your symptoms? It's not too soon to talk to your doctor about ETHEREAL for moderate to severe Crohn's and learn about the results you need, including rapid symptom relief and long-term remission. ETHEREAL is the only gut-focused treatment
Commercial.
that helps
Let me
block
get this out
inflammation
here.
in the gut.
I hate them commercials. All right, that was the end of that.
They swap.
That was the end of that. Okay, another one tried to pop on there. This is just people are trying to figure out, and they're wondering how you, like, it's always they trying to figure out, and they trying to, like, figure out yourself is what I say. Why are people always trying to analyze, study another motherfucker when they need to be studying themselves?
Or you would never make it. That's the truth. They whispered it, they laughed about it, they even built little stories around your supposed downfall. But now, the same mouths that mocked you are biting their tongues.
Yeah.
The silence is heavy.
They biting their motherfucking tongues, and the silence is heavy because them bitches was wanting to downfall on our side. And like I told them from the very beginning, that's not even a motherfucking option. That's not even a motherfucking option. So what the fuck they was waiting for never came. And matter of fact, the downfall, they had it right, but they had the prediction wrong. It was going to be their ass the whole motherfucking time, like it is. So that's where we at with that. Okay? Silence that follows, you know, inexplosive. They just got exposed for being who they is. And everything they do and everything that they tried, it's going to always backfire on them. So I ain't never worried. Especially when you're dealing with people that's not that very smart. They not that very smart. None of them. All those heads in one room and they not that very smart. Not at all. And I be dealing, they not that very spiritual neither.
Of silence that follows an explosion.
That's all what it is.
Dust settles after
55 going across as I said that.
Left staring at the ruins of their own predictions. Because you did it, and you didn't just do it. You pulled it off in a way that shattered every lie they told about you. People are confused right now. That's the simplest way to put it. They can't wrap their heads around how you, the one they underestimated, just flipped the entire script without their permission. One moment, you were forgettable, average, or the quiet one. The next moment, you've stepped into a light so powerful they can't look away. They're not celebrating you. They're not clapping. They're investigating, studying, scrambling for answers. Your name is floating in group chats. Your pictures are being sent around. Your moves are being stalked like evidence in a case file. Your life has turned into a mystery they can't solve, and the obsession is eating them alive. And
How
if
funny and
this
cute.
message is already hitting deep, chosen ones, hit that like button and subscribe. That's how you give this voice more power, not just for you, but for every chosen one standing up in silence. That's how you pay this message back and keep this truth echoing. Now, let's get real. They're not asking how are you? They're asking, how did they pull this off? That's the question haunting them. You didn't follow their instructions. You didn't crawl for validation.
Right.
You didn't trade your soul for shortcuts.
Right.
You simply disappeared into the grind, into the shadows, into the hard work and private tears. And then you reappeared at the finish line. Crown on your
Get
head.
dressed.
Victory in your hand. That crown they said you'd never touch?
After
You're
you
wearing
finish
it
eating,
now, and it burns their
take a
eyes
shower
to
and
see
get
it.
dressed.
Here's the fact that keeps them up at night. Most people can't figure you out because they've never figured themselves out.
Exactly.
They've been lost in illusions.
Exactly.
Playing games for clout, chasing trends, copying each other just to survive. Meanwhile, you were quietly building from truth, from pain, from depth. They don't know what that feels like. They don't know what it costs to sacrifice sleep, to cut off toxic voices, to walk away from comfort just to stand on your own. They don't know what it means to bet everything on yourself when no one is betting on you. That's why they stare at you like you're impossible. Because to them, you are. And what makes this so much sweeter? The same ones who treated you like background noise now move like detectives trying to catch clues in your silence. They Google you. They stalk your socials. They replay
you
conversations
Googling
in
me?
their head like maybe they
You
missed
Google
something.
me?
They tell others, I always knew they had potential. But you remember the smirks, the sarcasm, the times they counted you out. You know the truth. They didn't believe in you. They only believe now because they can't deny what's right in front of them. The most terrifying power in the world is a person who was underestimated, undetected, and then undeniable. That's you. And that's why they're
Shit,
losing
sound like
their
the
grip.
champ.
They thought you
Sound
would
like the
always
champ.
be the one watching from the sidelines, clapping for their fake victories. Instead, you wrote your own story, and it wasn't a story anyone expected. That's why their faces look blank, like glitching robots, trying to process a reality they swore would never exist. Think back to the history books. Every revolution, every breakthrough, every victory that shocked the world, it always came from the person no one believed in, from the mind they laughed at, from the voice they tried to silence. You stand in that same category now. You've become proof that quiet strength beats loud lies, that steady work beats fast tricks, that faith in yourself beats the world's rejection. And when the dust cleared, you weren't just standing. You were standing taller, brighter, stronger. This isn't just about success. This is about a shift, a closure, a victory that rewrote the rules they built to keep you down. You didn't just climb their ladder, you kicked it down and built your own. You're not part of their game anymore. You are the blueprint. You are the question they can't answer, the problem they can't solve, the storm they didn't prepare for. And now, every move you make rattles the ground beneath their feet. So buckle up, chosen ones, because in this video we're going to pull apart the reasons they're obsessing, the things you've done that they can't replicate, and the truth behind why your rise feels like their collapse. You didn't just win, you changed the entire game. And now they're scrambling to decode what they were too arrogant to respect. And listen closely.
You didn't just win,
you already
but you changed the game. You changed the game.
Code, staring from
you didn't just win, but you changed the game. Changed the game.
This message is
you didn't just win,
not for them.
but you changed the game. Changed the game.
Why their eyes
didn't
can't
just
look
win,
away,
but you changed the game. Changed the
Drop
game.
the number 777 in the comments if you're ready to unlock what they'll never understand. Because the deeper we go, the clearer it becomes. Their confusion is your confirmation. And if you're really chosen, you'll
like I'm
feel
getting
it
a
in
whole
your chest,
fucking hook off of that
pull
shit. Like
to
I'm
stay
getting a whole
locked in
motherfucking
until
song
the
and
very
dance.
end.
Okay?
So let's dive
We
into
didn't
this
just
step
win,
by step.
but we
And
changed the
trust me,
game.
by the time
Changed
we're
the
finished,
game.
you'll see exactly
We didn't just
why their
win,
obsession
but we
is
changed the
proof that
game.
you already
Changed the
won.
game. We didn't just
Number
win,
one,
but we changed
they're
the game.
obsessed
Changed the
because your
game.
lies shattered
We didn't
their
just
playbook.
win, but we changed the game.
Cruelest
Changed the
revenge
lane.
isn't shouting back at your enemies. It's living in such a way that their entire rulebook looks like a bad joke. They can't stop staring at you, not because they love you, not because they're proud, but because your existence is wrecking the script they swore was unshakable. You weren't supposed to be here, not in this room, not in this position, not carrying this kind of glow without their approval. You weren't supposed to be seen, and now you can't be ignored. That's why their eyes follow you like you're a riddle they'll never solve. The truth is brutal. They had a formula, a crooked blueprint that worked for them in a shallow world. Fake the smile, shake the right hands, step on whoever's beneath you, bend the truth until it looks good enough for applause. That was the game. And you were never supposed to win because you didn't play it. You didn't beg. You didn't crawl. You didn't fold yourself into their small boxes. You walked around their stage without ever buying a ticket. And somehow you still ended up in the spotlight. That's what's burning them alive right now. Think about it. How many times did they dismiss you? How many times did they roll their eyes when you said less but meant more? They thought silence meant weakness. They thought staying low meant defeat. They thought ignoring the circus meant you weren't even in the tent. And yet, here you are, not just in the game, but rewriting the scoreboard. They study you now like failed scientists, staring at a result that disproves their entire theory. They whisper, how did they pull it off? Who gave them that chance? What did we miss? But the answer isn't in their questions. It's in the very arrogance that blinded them to begin with. Here's the dagger they can't pull out. Your success wasn't supposed to exist in their system. You weren't backed by a machine. You didn't plaster your life in fake validation. You didn't sell yourself for temporary applause. You weren't even in the rooms they thought were essential. And still...
That means posting fake videos on YouTube and Instagram and, IG and all these different other places, making it appear or seem more realer than it actually is. Okay? And I noticed that too, that's a real issue. It's very sad that some people that have their own platform, they're here to encourage people, but then you look up and you hear that they commit suicide. It's like, how the fuck is this person coming in the collective energy trying to inspire, lift up the humanity, woo, woo, woo. But then they go, as soon as they post a video of doing all of this beautiful energy, smiles on their faces and all, they turn around and then they off themselves. What the hell is going on? So it just lets you know that you can't really always go off of what you see. Meaning that, seeing people, with the smiles, the name tags, the label tags, driving the nice whips. All that shit don't mean nothing. They literally can put on the whole front in front of you, cut that camera off, and have a whole complete fuck meltdown. A whole motherfucking nut up, or just be completely battling the me versus me energy. Okay. So I seen something on YouTube where a young lady, she was so beautiful. She didn't lie about anything though. She said that she was having issues. She said her mind was trying to kill her. Okay. And she was a beautiful girl. She wasn't on no drugs or anything. She had a beautiful spirit, beautiful everything about this girl. But she said her mind was trying to kill her. Okay. And it was just giving her, you know, basically she had dark thoughts that she couldn't control. And it's so sad. Because it's like, Father God, what is this that is so strong in these young people's mind that takes over their mind where they just cannot have no peace? Like, she didn't have no peace. For her to just end her life, like she really was being tormented by some spirit, some kind of entity, spirit, or something that she didn't understand. And that's crazy. Okay? All right, that she didn't have the wisdom or the understanding to know that a lot of that was spiritual. She tried to eat as healthy as she could. She worked out at the gym. That helped her a lot to balance her mind and get her on some positive energy. She would go to the gym and come home and post it and say, I feel really good right now. I feel really, really good. You know, it's like she really was trying to live a normal life, but she said her mind, it wouldn't let her do that, you know, and it was so sad. She ended her life. Very, very sad, okay? So I pray for those that are struggling with mental health, okay? I pray for those that don't have anyone to speak with or talk with, or don't know how to express what it is that they're feeling, okay? I would tell you that you probably is someone that need to cover your head with a white cloth, okay? You're probably someone that's very sensitive, okay? And your crown chakra is probably wide open, okay? You're probably more sensitive than you realize and then you understand about yourself. And you probably just don't understand that a lot of that stuff that you picking up in your mind is shit. You could be telepathic, you could be telekinesis, and you could be reading other people's thoughts and thinking that they're your thoughts, okay? And it's tormenting you because you don't know how to silence it out or protect your energy, you know, like turn off it's like listening to a radio, listening to music or something, and then when you get tired of listening to it, you turn the power of it off, okay? We have to teach these babies how to turn the power off, and so that they can, and give them wisdom so that they can understand what it is that they're tapping into. They're not understanding that they're a powerful celestial being. They're not understanding that they're an ancient soul. Okay, and their life is being cut short, and it's sad. So I pray for those that are struggling going through that, okay? Okay, may you find the wisdom of the Most High God, okay? May He cover and protect you, all right? Okay, put you in the right people's hands, put the right people around you, teach you, okay? Nourish you, okay? And give you wisdom, okay? To help you with these nights of the dark soul and all this that people don't understand. I'm trying to tell you what Father God told me. He said only 1% can do what I did. So this is why you seeing people off they self, not even halfway through their spiritual journey, because they cannot take these nights of the dark soul. They don't know what the fuck this shit is. They have been brainwashed so much by society and everything around them. They think that this shit is not normal, so they think something wrong with them. Like, this shit is facts. Like, so I pray for those, you know, that's going through that and don't understand. They can't take the pressure. Okay? All right? So I'm going to end it here because this video is way too long. It's 55 minutes and it'll be going into another video. So I'm going to let y'all listen to like maybe one more or two more facts. But I'm going to cut it off because it's already at 9 minutes. So I'm going to cut it off probably in a few seconds, okay?
You emerged standing taller than all their noise. That's why they scroll through your life like detectives reviewing evidence. That's why they obsess over your timeline, replaying your story as if a clue might reveal itself. But there is no
Petty,
clue.
petty, petty.
There is
Petty
no
Eddie and Petty
shortcut,
Betty.
because you didn't take one. You were supposed to fail. You were supposed to stay in the shadows. You were supposed to stay the quiet one, clapping for their hollow victories. But your refusal to collapse became the very thing they couldn't predict. And now,
The owl
your
and that
presence
bird.
exposes their fraud. Your calm exposes their panic. Your truth exposes their illusion. You are living proof that authenticity doesn't just survive, it wins. And nothing terrifies a liar more than a person who doesn't need lies to shine. Look at the irony. They spent years building masks, performing for approval, and stretching themselves thin for a spotlight that fades with every season. Meanwhile, you kept it real. You grew in silence. You bled in silence. You rebuilt in silence. And when you finally stepped forward, it wasn't for clout. It was because you had become undeniable. That's why they're restless. That's why their jealousy tastes like venom in their own mouths. They're not angry that you succeeded. They're angry because you succeeded without betraying yourself. Here's a question you might ask yourself. Why are they so obsessed if my win doesn't affect them? Because deep down, your win does affect them.
Why are they
It
so
exposes
obsessed
them.
with me?
It forces them to admit that maybe they did it all wrong. That maybe the shortcuts, the manipulation,
Why
the
they
fake
tried to
networking,
mess with me?
none of it was real
Who
power.
knows?
They hate you because your life is a living contradiction to the story they sold themselves. And every time you breathe freely, every time you move without begging for permission, every time you rise another step,
Now
it
they
reminds them of their own
understand
cages.
who
Remember this,
the
the most
queen.
dangerous person in the world is the one who wasn't supposed to rise, the one who wasn't counted, the one who didn't play the game, and yet still broke through. That's you. You are the loophole in their system, the glitch in their matrix, the walking evidence that their formulas are useless when a person decides to walk in truth. And truth, chosen one, is the one thing they cannot fake. So when they look at you now like a puzzle, don't mistake it for curiosity. It's fear. It's the silent panic of people who realize they never had as much power as they thought. They're replaying your story, not because they want to celebrate it, but because it's the mirror they can't escape. Your victory is the crack in their wall, the leak in their dam, the one fracture that makes the whole structure collapse. They don't want to solve you. They want to deny you. But it's too late. You're standing here. You're undeniable. And if you ever wonder why they watch so closely, here's the truth. They're hoping to find the blueprint you used, but they'll never find it. Because you didn't play by one. You became it. And that, chosen one, is why their study will never end, and why your rise has already rewritten the entire game.
That sounds like Most High God.
Number 2. You rose from the ashes while they choked on the smoke. Pain is the exam life gives you before it hands you the degree of wisdom. Here's the truth that terrifies them. You didn't escape pain. You endured it. You let it educate you while they let it destroy them. That's the part they'll never admit out loud. They went through heartbreaks, betrayals, and disappointments too. But instead of turning that fire into fuel, they let it burn them hollow. You didn't. You took that same fire and forged it into armor. That's why they can't figure you out. Most people get hurt and decide the world owes them something. They drown in bitterness, gossip, and excuses. They stay stuck, replaying the betrayal like a movie on repeat, still angry at ghosts who moved on years ago. But you refused to rot in the same story. You didn't let heartbreak make you hateful. You didn't let betrayal make you distrustful. You didn't let suffering make you cynical. Instead, you asked yourself, what is this trying to teach me? What can I gain from this pain? That question became your weapon while they clung to their wounds like trophies. Some people drink poison, hoping it'll kill their enemies. Others drink truth, even when it burns going down. That's the difference between them and you. Imagine this. 2 people walk through the same storm. One curses the rain, stands frozen, and lets the thunder break their spirit. The other tightens their coat, learns the rhythm of the downpour, and uses the storm as training. Which one do you think emerges stronger? That was you. You didn't run from the storm. You studied it. You didn't fight the dark. You adapted to it. That's why, while they choke on the smoke of their own bitterness, you rose clean from the ashes. And don't think they haven't noticed. They see the glow on your face, the peace in your eyes, the calm in your walk. It confuses them because they know the kind of battles you faced. They know what you lost, what you endured, what you survived. By their logic, you should be bitter, cold, broken. Instead,
like,
you're
share, thumb up the
radiant.
video,
Instead,
please.
you're resilient. Instead, you've turned scars into scripture that guides you through life. That's why they whisper, how are they still standing? How are they still smiling? How are they still winning? But let's flip the question. Why aren't they standing?
The hills is filled with music.
The answer is simple. Because they refused to let the pain teach them. They wanted shortcuts,
right,
not
get the
surgery.
fuck out of here.
They wanted comfort, not confrontation. Pain knocked on their door, and instead of letting it in as a teacher, they let it squat like a parasite. That's why they're still bitter 5 years later about things they could have healed from. They drank resentment like it was wine, while you swallowed truth like medicine, and medicine heals even when it hurts. The wound is where the light enters you, but only if you stop covering it with pride. Picture this. Someone steps on glass. Instead of removing it, they leave it there, limping, bleeding, complaining, pointing fingers. Over time, the infection spreads. That's how most people handle betrayal, rejection, or heartbreak. They never pull the glass out. They never face the pain. They just limp through life, bitter and defensive. But you pulled the glass out. You sat with the sting, cleaned the wound, let it scar, and turned that scar into strength. That's why you walk differently now. That's why you shine. That's why they stare. And yes, chosen one, let's address the unspoken question. Why me? Why did I have to go through all that pain in the first place? Because you were being sharpened. Because your path was never about avoiding storms, but about learning how to master them. Because your glow needed fire, not comfort. Look around. The strongest souls you've ever admired weren't built in easy places. They were built in fire. You're part of that lineage now. And that truth unsettles your enemies. Because when they look at you, they see the evidence that their excuses mean nothing. They see what happens when someone refuses to let pain define them. And it makes their bitterness taste worse.
Scented oil.
Commercial.
For up to 70 days.
2 seconds,
Always
5
fragrant, always
seconds, 6 seconds. Hold on.
These glasses destroyed
Anything to try to make us watch more than one damn
Nobody
commercial.
believed me
Boy,
at
I
first, but
promise.
now everyone wants a
Let me
pair.
get this
My
shit
friends
out of
laughed
here.
when I bought them.
They want to believe you cheated, that you had some secret advantage. But deep down, they know the only difference is that you faced the pain while they hid from it.
Yeah,
What
they
breaks
definitely was
others
going around
built
saying
you.
that dumb shit.
What poisoned them purified you. Imagine a blacksmith with 2 pieces of metal. He puts both in the fire. One cracks under the heat, breaks, and becomes useless. The other absorbs the fire, grows stronger, and transforms into a sword. That sword is you. The cracked piece is them. Same fire, different outcome. That's the story they can't process, and that's why they obsess over you like a puzzle. They see your smile, but they don't see the nights you cried until your chest ached. They see your wins, but not the countless days you carried yourself through pain with no applause. They see your peace, but not the war it took to earn it. They want the glow, but not the grind.
Right.
They want the wisdom, but not the wounds. And here's the cruel irony.
You a fraud.
Because they refuse to learn from what life already
You a
handed them.
fraud.
So don't you dare downplay your strength. Don't you dare shrink your story. Every Every scar you carry is a receipt that you chose growth over bitterness, wisdom over resentment, love over hate. That's why you stand out in a world addicted to victimhood. That's why your enemies glare at you like you're guilty of something. Because you are guilty. Guilty of surviving what was designed to break you and daring to shine anyway.
Same shit that motherfucker was saying about that little boy.
It's the side effect of pain properly digested. And now, every time that...
That's the same shit they were saying about that little boy. Because he outlived that fucking trauma that they did to him. And each second that he lived, that disgrace was all over their ass because of what they was trying to do to him. Okay, it's like the more he lived, they despised him because the lie. The lie was just magnifying all over their ass like molasses. You feel what I'm saying? And that's how the chosen ones is, okay? When they start these lies, they don't think that these lies gotta be nurtured and fucking fed. And when they can't be nurtured and fed, that's when that lie illuminate and swallow their ass. You feel what I'm saying? It's like they turn into a monster. You know, it turned into, wow, I'm about to really get exposed. It turned into the naked woman on the stage trying to cover herself up and realizing that she's naked and everyone's watching. Like it turns into exactly that. Okay? I can't make it up. Okay? You get exposed in the worst way. And that's what they going through. Ain't no need to be figuring it out. Figure out yourself so that you can stop embarrassing yourself. Father God said they tried to do a humiliation spell and it backfired on their ass. And I feel like a lot of these humiliation spells all the way across the globe, all the way across on different platforms is backfiring on motherfuckers. Like all of this shit that they doing on Love and Hip Hop, them ain't nothing but humiliation spells and they backfiring. They using the cast to turn on each other. They setting the people up to go and somewhere and they putting the cameras on in hopes to catch some human reaction that's gonna give them high ratings. Okay? And I just feel like it's played out and it's corny. Okay? It's corny. Like they was doing it all on the Love and Hip Hop Miami and then the Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta. Okay? Where they tried to set up 24 and Thelma. Okay? And that was very tacky the way they did that at the table, but it still backfired because 24 stood up like a man, like, y'all not about to be talking shit about my wife and she ain't here. Like, I take my marriage serious. I don't play that shit. So it backfired on them. Okay? But at the same time, it exposed other people's characters and to let you know how low people will go for money, okay, or just because somebody told them to do it. You feel what I'm saying? Like, where's the integrity and the morals? Some people just didn't show themselves right, okay, around that table, okay? It ain't about no laying it out on the table. It's about there's a time and a place to give somebody some information about something. And when you're doing it flat out on the camera at a table where they don't even socialize with all of these people, you did as wrong to be exposing anything that you heard. Like, I wouldn't repeat nothing that I heard. Like, you got to repeat things that you know for a fact. So it's just messy all the way around the board, and it's just to get a reaction out of viewers. Okay, but I feel like that type of shit is really played, and people starting to see through that. That's scripted. Okay, you got people that'll play along with these PR stunts that they want to do, and you got people that don't play along. They ain't on that shit because that's their life. That's their real fucking life. And you trying to paint some narrative or paint some delusion about my life, and people got brands. People are brands, okay? People are names and brands. You trying to paint some type of false-ass reality for ratings. And that shit ain't cool. Meanwhile, back at the ranch trying to really tear my marriage apart. Or tear my relationship up. Like, we got kids. Okay? Like, it's all of this shit going on. I'm seeing it on both shows. On the Miami one, people was showing up on the trip. And then their enemies was showing up. That shit was all script. Just to get a reaction out of the camera. Okay? And a lot of people wasn't falling for that shit. They wasn't falling out with the people the way they wanted them to fall out. That shit was a humiliation spill gone bad. Okay? Okay? I just feel like all the shit that people been gatekeeping and doing for a very long time, it's a wrap. It's just a wrap. People are awake. You cannot just keep playing these games, and you cannot puppet string a person's emotions about how they gonna respond to some dumb shit you trying to do in their energy. Like, everybody's not gonna respond to a fucking lie. Why do they have to? Like, that don't even make no sense. Like, they not about to justify it, respond to it. They not about to do any of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, this shit goes off from the celebrities all the way down to our community. Like, people that's just high conscious, I'm talking about. Okay, those elite few that's just high conscious. We not falling for this bullshit. We connected to God. We have a relationship with the Most High God. So therefore, we don't respond the same way as these clowns and these karmics would. Okay? Trolls would. Like, get out of here with all that. So I just feel like that's where it's at. It's going to keep continuing backfire. And you're going to keep exposing yourself. And really the humiliation is going to be on you. Since you want to do a humiliation ritual, yeah, let it work. It's going to work on you. You know what I'm saying? Because the backfire going to hit. So you're going to get exactly what you sow into that. You're going to reap that harvest, you know, especially if you come in an anointed one, a chosen one, okay, the one, energy trying to do some crazy shit like that. It's supposed to backfire on you immediately. Immediately, justice is supposed to come down. Karma's supposed to hit your ass. Immediately, okay? It's like when they tried to do that shit to Carrie. Okay, got her to the prom and then thought that they was gonna make a spectacle of her. Okay, threw pig's blood and all that on her. It ended very badly for those bitches. Playing in that girl's energy because she was very sweet, kind. She kept to herself. Yeah, she was quiet and different, but she wasn't weird different. Okay, she matter of fact was even pretty. Okay, but the fact that they didn't have no originality about theyself. They decided that they wanted to pick on her. Okay? Pick her out of the crowd to kiki about. You feel me? And it ended very badly for everybody in that school. Okay? Because you just don't come in chosen one's energy fucking around. It's supposed to end it exactly like that. Carrie was supposed to burn that whole motherfucking school down and every motherfucking body in it that thought that she was the motherfucking joke. She was supposed to do exactly that. And that's what she did. Okay? Taught them a nice lesson about coming in the wrong motherfucker's energy and doing shit. Like, I can't make that shit up. I cannot make that shit up. Like, it's supposed to end very badly for you, especially when you mean evil for a person. Like, they meant evil for her when they did that shit and thought that was cute. They put energy, time into that, intentions into that. It was supposed to end exactly like that. She fucked them all up. They had that shit coming. Period, point, dot, dash. That girl had telekinesis and everything. You don't know how powerful a motherfucker is. But if you go poking the bear, fucking around in a lane that you ain't got no business in, opening up a door you ain't got no business opening up, you're supposed to get exactly what you get. I don't feel bad. Now, the incident that I want to tell you, all this other shit was popping up on my thing about these, I guess you would call them Karens. They ended, them being in this obsessive energy of trying to control other people, it ended very badly for these women. Yes, they all was Caucasian. I cannot believe that these women be doing this shit. Some of them was popping some type of pills that was making them amp up like this too. But they was just completely out of line with a lot of shit that they was doing, and their life ended very badly. One lady was such a fucking tyrant in people's energy that she was putting a show on, a clown show on, at some hardware store. While she was putting that, making everything difficult for everybody around her in that store, she tripped on something, hit her head, and her shit, it ended tragedy for her. Another one, it was just more and more stories of this where people, Another one was this lady thought that she could take it upon herself to confront people and get confrontational with people that park on the line, that don't park directly in one spot. So if you park in the spot and you on the line, or it look like you may be taking up another lane, but you know, like taking up another parking spot, she would get all in your face and be a tyrant. Okay? And she was causing a lot of confrontation with the customers and all that and stuff, because it was being a ruckus at the stores. Okay? Well, one day she was out there patrolling, acting a motherfucking fool. Okay? And she stepped out in front of that machine that the dude put all the carts on, and that bitch ran her over and she hit her head. It was just, everything ended badly. Everything ended badly. I was just like, wow. You know what I'm saying? It don't pay to be a tyrant in other people's energy. Another person was trying to basically road rage a motherfucker and tell them to stop driving fast or to pull over, and then they end up hitting something and killing themselves. Like, I can't make this shit up. It just make me think that some people just need to mind their business and stop being a tyrant and making shit hard for people, because ultimately this shit gonna backfire on them. I mean, live on the camera while they was doing it. Like, some of this shit was caught live on the camera, because some people just, they wanted to post every fucking thing that they did because they wanted fame so bad. One lady, she had a scarf around her neck, and she was coming to the mall, and she was being a motherfucking tyrant or whatever, whatnot. And while she was filming, her scarf got caught in the escalator and choked her, and made her choke, and it choked her, and it did some crazy shit to her where she lost her life on camera while she was being a tyrant. Okay. Being a Karen. Like it just don't pay to be a tyrant in people's energy, especially when it's uncalled for. Now, I had an incident where I can't believe this shit is real and that it really go down in real life. I had an incident where I was at a light. And while I was at this light, my car tire went just a little tad bit over the white line, but still was way back where you could see the lights waiting for him to turn. This white old man with his dog took it upon himself and thought that he was going to check me about being on that little white line the same way like that lady was. I got my voice in auto tone so fast, he was like literally trying to approach my car. While I'm telling you, while I was at the light, he was coming through the walk lane, and as he was coming through the walk lane, he seen that my car was on the walk lane, white line, like one of my tires was on the line. This motherfucker thought he was gonna take it upon himself to check me and make me pull back. I told him, if you don't get the fuck out my face and keep walking your dog, you better. That motherfucker backed up so fast and kept walking. I said, audacity of these motherfuckers that think that they can check people they don't even know. The audacity of them. I told him, I said, boy, you gonna sign a check that your ass can't cash. Okay? I couldn't believe it. I could not believe that he thought he was entitled to check a whole stranger in their car at a light about being on the fucking line, and I wasn't even on the line. But in his mind, I was on the line, and I needed to back my motherfucking vehicle up, even though he had all of this wide space for him and his little fucking dog to walk across, that he's fucking starving. Okay? Look like he's starving, that fucking little dog. But anyway, okay, the audacity of people. Okay? I gave that old man my man voice. Okay? And told him to back the fuck up. Back the fuck up before I give you something your ass can't handle. That motherfucking eyes got big like, bitch, how dare you come and try to think you can check somebody you don't know. So, it's people out here that's just really crazy. They really crazy. They really think that they can check you. And no, that's not y'all job. Y'all cannot do that, Karen. Y'all better stay in y'all lane, or it's going to end very badly if y'all get in the wrong people's energy doing that. And then another lady, she was such a tyrant to her home. You know those private communities, they got the home owner society or whatever it's called. she was such a tyrant to the neighbors in that in her neighborhood, that she met a disastrous end. Okay, she slipped and fell into a pool, and they could have saved her and everything. Shit, they let her ass stay in there, and basically took their time pulling her out and all of that shit. And they was like, them people was like, good riddance. They didn't even care. They was like, good riddance, because she was a whole problem to the whole like neighborhood. Like, I mean, she was just off the chain with what she was doing, and it was just too much, and all that shit backfired on them. So I just feel like people that just be trying to go out their way to be a fucking tyrant in people's energy, I think they're gonna meet their disastrous end doing that type of shit. The very thing that they trying to put the spotlight on someone else, is the spotlight gonna get put on them. Is what you got going on. Okay, it's what y'all got going on. So I'm gonna end it right here, because I paused the video and it ended up going off. So I'm gonna end it right here. Like, share, thumb up the video. Appreciate everyone that do. I am your sacred, magical, high chief priest of the Most High God, and I come to give it to you real raw. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this shit. No way. I'm out.